We now move along to chairman's comments, chairman's remarks. One thing I just wanted to bring up is the passing of our commissioner, Bill Habel, about 6 weeks ago. Bill was a member of this commission for 8 years. He served dutifully. He was a good friend of a lot of people in this room as we got to know him, and he will be missed. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that in front of everybody, and I'm sure you share the same sentiments. We'll be active. Hopefully, they'll be actively looking for a replacement for Commissioner Habel in the future. Moving on then to public comment. Is there any public that wishes to make a comment here? Don't see any present. How are we doing behind me?
We're good.
Good. We got you back. Boy, oh boy, that's a real positive
After
sign.
6.
There's no members of the public present, so we have no public comment. We'll move to approval of minutes. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes from February 3rd?
Motion to approve. Second.
I'm sorry, from June 2nd. I'm sorry. These would be the minutes of June 2nd, not February 3rd. Motion to approve in second. All those in favor, roll call, Jason, or is it, it can be?
Well, Lisa, we can do voice vote now, right?
Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. And very well done, by the way. Thank you. Moving on to other action items. We need to set the schedule for next year. That'll be our first item. I have last year's dates here. They were in February, June, and October. Is there any discussion at this time about any alternative dates or 3 meetings a year from any of the commissioners present?
My memory is that we're 4 meetings a year initially, reduced to 3. The good news is there's not much business here, so to speak.
I think that was a good move. You're right.
But leaving it at least 3, just so we can be here. I mean, I have one question today of something that I saw in the news in the last month about ethics in the state level. Maybe it'll be discussed here. I don't know, but coming to these meetings being upfront is good.
Yeah,
So
I
at
agree.
least 3 I'd stick with.
The 3 meetings that we have proposed for each year really do encompass a lot of updating on the training, discussion on the training opportunities, mock trials, and things that keep us fresh in reviewing of all of the different things that come up through the state, through Jason and others that are present in the room. So I do believe 3 is a good minimum. And obviously, if there ever is a time when there's a trial that is called or our duties are required on a more broad basis, there'll be more meetings, obviously. So that being said, do you have the proposed dates for 2022? I didn't look at that.
That should be what's in front of you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, this is an old one. These are the 2021 dates that I pulled. Is it part of my minutes?
Yes, it's in the packet.
Thank you. All right. So if I could have a motion that would bring the meetings for the 2022 schedule to be February 2nd, June 1st, and October 5th. I'd entertain that motion now, 2022. Thank you. Seconded?
I will second.
Any
I
discussion?
like the February 2nd date. I'm sure we'll get a groundhog year. Figure out what's going on for all the year.
Hearing no discussion, do I call a roll for this?
No, voice is fine. Voice is
Yeah,
fine.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Those dates are set for the calendar then. Getting into old business, we have a review of the ethics training. I really want to turn this over to Jason at this particular time to take a look at some of the things that have been coming up with the health department and the ethics bill in the state.
Thank you so much, Chair. So the health department reached out to me as part of an entity with ethics training. They're required to do said training from the county. The catch is they were curious. They have their own training software, which is their own module that they do all their other training. All their employees are on that one. They would like to do our exact training, but just on their module. And per our statute, and I talked to Dan Hamlin, he said it would be a good idea to get consensus from the committee here and get their approval, saying that yes, because it's any change in the training needs to be approved by this board, but just getting that consensus, just it's the exact same training, they're just using their own module. So that's what the health department asked me about. So I wanted to ask you guys as this committee, is that okay? Are you guys comfortable with that? Or would you like them to use our system?
What's the downside?
It's the same exact thing. It's just they manage it, not me.
Mhm.
So,
So they would manage how many people have participated
and they would send us the updates.
and any quality of the training they would have input on?
No, you wouldn't, you guys would still have complete control of the training. I just send it to them and say, here's what the training commission has said.
Mhm.
Please give this to your employees, let them do the training.
Commissioner Benson?
And did I understand that they have a different delivery system, if you will?
Yeah.
For how they train and how whatever. The
So
content would be lifted, if you will, and exactly
copy and paste.
screen for whatever, just through their format.
Correct.
And it's the electronic delivery, not that they're resetting and typing it.
Correct.
That shouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah, so it's not a shell shocking
Mhm.
thing. It's pretty basic, but just to cover our basis, we wanted to
Do
inquire.
they have any ability to change
Um,
screens and items? And
I don't know their software by heart, so I couldn't speak to that, but what they have indicated is whatever I send them
Okay.
is what they'll use.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be, I'm not concerned about
Yeah.
that.
Very good.
Well, the way the software that DuPage, however we
Yeah.
present it, if you can't answer the question, you can't go on to the next screen.
Correct.
And you have an opportunity to have to look at what the right answer is,
Yeah.
read it, whether you don't want to participate or not, it's up to you. I assume that they have a similar mechanism.
It's similar to what I haven't seen it personally, but that's how I have it understood from them. And at the end, they get a certificate, much like ours, so they can send that certificate or that data us.
Very
So,
good. And they'd like to start this in the calendar year 2022?
correct.
Good.
Correct. Their training schedule for the health department's a little different than ours, like, because they do all of their annual training. I think it's mid-year,
Mhm.
but they would like to start using this.
Okay.
Because it's also then, for their employees, it's all under one world or on one program. So they don't have to have, passwords to three
Mhm.
different things. So it's a little bit more streamlined for their employees. And I know we already have enough employees who sometimes are, oh yeah, I did this once a year. What's my password?
Yeah.
So if we can put it all in their separate thing and make that easier, I think that's a great idea.
Any further discussion? Do we need a motion on this? Would you like to have a dedicated motion?
I think it's just consensus.
Discussion,
It's a
consensus,
consensus.
approval.
Yeah.
Hearing none, thank you. I'm glad that they're going to be able to participate and take advantage of your hard work. Or at least the advisor's hard work and the inspector general's hard work. Go ahead.
And then I'll continue on to the actual training itself. I did send an email to our inspector general as well as our ethics advisor, and I indicated, is there anything they would like to see changed in the training? We are in that year where we typically do the training change or make some updates. They didn't have anything that I got back to, so I defer to the committee as a whole on this one. I know I sent it out either after our last meeting or during our last meeting. If there was any ethics or any changes you'd like to see. I had a couple commas,
Mhm.
and also we're switching a lot of our stuff at the county board rule level of where it says board chairman. We're switching it to just chair. So
Okay.
those were more so my edits. So it was just, I think we could make it just say chair, county board chair or chair
Mhm.
for any of that. And then a couple commas, capitalizing a word. That's all I had on the training aspect. I did not want to get into scenarios specifically. I kind of wanted to toss that to you guys. Is there something different you guys would like to see or anything like that?
Mhm.
But overall, it's a solid training. You guys did fantastic work over this, so it's a matter of that. But I
Jason
defer to
mentioned
you.
that there was nothing that we gave him feedback on. Is there any
Yeah.
verbal comments or any feedback that may have come up over the last couple of days? I have looked through it too. I didn't catch the comments and the capitals, but that was good. But as far as content, I realize it's the same package as somebody who took it last year, but it's still getting the message across that we need to in order to be, within the guidelines of the ethics ordinance. So it's a solid, and if Dan and Hanlon and Nancy Wolf, who are, much more adept at understanding, the scenarios that might need to be in here, have no comment, then I'm good with it. So anybody else? All right, so the training will go off again in January, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
any updates
Give or
on,
take on that.
while you're at it, any updates on the training participation as we close the year for 2021?
You know, and this is on me, I forgot to get the update, but last I looked at it, we were still above 86% on the internal. And then on the outside,
86?
86, yes, 86. And then the external one, I think we finally got up to 80% was where I saw the number at.
Thank you.
So, I can update accordingly. I'll double check that and I can send that out. It's not a problem.
Did you have something on the state level from ethics too, or was that?
Oh, yes, thank you. So this may be your question that you saw in the mail, or it's not the mail, news. So the ethics bill I discussed last meeting, it was actually, the governor did an mandatory veto on it and changed one little language regarding the investigator general for the executive branch, giving what he said more authority to the executive investigator general to investigate concerns. However, that bill was then the amendment was accepted by the General Assembly. So the ethics bill I explained, you know, changing some of the economic interest forms, changing the scope of the investigator general, legislative investigator general, that did pass. So that is fully in effect now. So we'll be seeing changes to the economic interest form. I believe it's this January. I believe I got to double check that. But yeah, the nice lament I gave at the last meeting finally did go into law with just that one caveat. Yeah, so this takes effect January 1st, 2022. So all these changes will take into effect there. And again, you know, it also further defines contributions, some of the gifts, some of the words, the definitions of some of the ethics.
And the need to update what we're presenting in our.
So this is based off our ethics ordinance. The ethics ordinance hasn't changed for the county. But I will double check that, but I didn't hear anything from either of our other counterparts saying that there was a change needed. But so I think we should be good on that end. But I'll double check with council and confirm that.
Good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Your report. Anything else, Jason, under?
I think that covers everything I had. Trying to think. No, we talked about training. We talked about the ethics bill. We talked about, yeah, that's everything I have.
Thank you for the report.
No problem.
Moving on to old business, we have a mock trial for future meeting. That was something that Investigator General Nancy Wolf had said she would try to pull up. Not as for those of us that have been here for the last mock training, it's an opportunity for us to actually sit through a trial. And of course, Judge Demling's been through a lot of them, but there is an opportunity at least for us to know what it might be like to hear evidence and call witnesses and things along those lines. So I hope Nancy is going to be able to have something for us for January. I know that it didn't work out as far as.
I actually think that's pretty good, because I think at least half the members of the board probably have not been through. And this is really an administrative hearing, which is a little bit more unique.
I see.
So I think it would be helpful, particularly for those of us that haven't been through the last one, to have one. And I don't know. I think we're a member short right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe hold it off until we get the new member on board, so that person.
I smile under my mask because it took a little while to get Michelle.
I know.
It could be 2023, but you're right, Judge. Yeah. We certainly can get an update. That's one of the things I have coming up under new business is the status of.
Well, but either way, I think it would be a good idea to have that type of a presentation by Nancy for us, because at least half of us haven't been through that type of a situation.
Thank you.
Would the will of the committee be for me to work with Nancy to have something for our February 2nd meeting planned, and hopefully by that point we have somebody appointed or whatnot?
January.
I'll gladly get that set up with her. If that's your guys' direction.
And she had said that she doesn't want to necessarily go through the whole process that we went through before, but at least understand, when witnesses are called, what could be stated, what is the preponderance of guilt versus, and those types of things. So yes, she can certainly do a great job at that. So.
I will work with her and make sure we have that set up for February 2nd.
Any other comments on that? Thank you. Anything under old business for the good of the order? Under new business, I understand Nancy is out of town. I'm sorry, our Investigator General is out of town on a prearranged trip, couldn't be here. She did send me some information though that I'd like to read into the record as a type of report for her. She's received, last meeting I received 4 and responded messages, 4 of them, concerning issues unrelated to ethics ordinance. So 4 complaints came in not even related to the ethics ordinance. She did receive 2 ethics complaints since our last meeting related to the Aurora ethics ordinance, both of which were closed with a finding of no subject matter jurisdiction. In other words, there's no jurisdiction for the ethics ordinance as it related to the alleged violations. That was, as you know, during the Aurora election for mayor, there were some ethics ordinance allegations. So to this day, to summarize, there's been 4 that have been not concerning our ordinance and 2 that were found to have no subject matter jurisdiction. So that's what she would have reported as of today. Not available for any further questions, but we can clarify any questions we might have at our next meeting in February. Secondly, Investigator General Wolf and Ethics Advisor Dan Hanlon presented 2 training sessions to the City of Aurora officers and employees in the month of September. So that was a question we had for her. Has anybody reached out from Aurora? Blah, blah, blah. And so, yes, that's good news that they are receiving their training in a timely manner. And Dan and Nancy were able to do 2 training sessions.
Mr. Chairman, can I make one comment to that? I do want to remind everybody that the Aurora agreement, they're a little different. They don't actually do our training because their ethics ordinance is a little different. So Investigator Wolf and Advisor Hanlon, that's where they have tailored that presentation of their ordinance.
Yeah, otherwise it could be a drop-in.
Correct. Yeah, otherwise they would just be using our software.
Right, exactly. So that's good to know that they're keeping up on that. That training has been given. Is there anything under new business that needs to come to this committee? Okay, the only other thing we talked about under new business, just mentioned it briefly, is the replacement for our Commissioner Bill Habel. I'm sure that's in the process, hopefully, and there's a full committee is always best to have if we're going to undergo any training. So.
And to the best of my knowledge, that yes, we will be looking for somebody here soon.
It doesn't need to be, quite honestly, it doesn't need to be at the top of the order. We have plenty of commissioners here. We have a quorum.
No, that process has begun, I believe, is the indication.
Thank you. Anything else in our new business? Okay, is there anything for the good of the order that we missed?
Will we be wearing masks February 2nd?
Let me check the Ouija board. I don't know. Yeah, that's a great question. Who'd have thought that we would still be here in, October with masks?
I'm glad we're all still here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see everybody face to face. All right, if I have nothing else for the good of the order, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded and motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.